Hello again, and I hope that you got some useful insights from Samer's presentation on project management and how it may benefit you as an educator. And hopefully through the second part of this session and my presentation on transition to self-employment and turning teachers to entrepreneur, you will also be able to find a way to merge the skills of project management into entrepreneurship. And I will highlight that when we get to that point of the presentation. So in this part of the presentation, I will be giving an overview of entrepreneurship for educators and focusing on entrepreneurship and the traits of entrepreneurs versus that of teachers. We'll look at entrepreneurial and entrepreneurial success stories, and I will propose a training program or what a training program for entrepreneurship might look like. And hopefully we can get some feedback on the EduBridges community platform on how to shape the program so that it is more suitable for educators. So let's start with a quick reflection on what you may think entrepreneurship is and why it is important. Since this is an asynchronous session, it would help to just stop every now and then and do a bit of reflection and then continue to get some more input on the topic. So ideally, the most commonly known meaning of the concept of entrepreneurship is the ability to set up, organize, and operate a business, taking into account uncertainties and aiming towards making a profit. In economics, the entrepreneurial vision usually involves discovery and risk-taking, and it is known to primarily contribute to a nation's economic development and its capacity to grow, and of course, thrive in this ever-changing and competitive global market. Now, the scope of entrepreneurship has extended beyond that, particularly with the most recent and the speed of technological advancement, which is calling for a balanced approach to the economic development by adding the social and the environmental aspect of development, which we will address later. So what are the different types of entrepreneurship? We have the small business entrepreneurship, which is primarily your local grocery store, hairdressers, a little small cafe in your neighborhood. And generally these small businesses are run by families. They employ family members, or if anything, people who live in the neighborhood. And so the local community, but also in general may actually get their funding from a small business loan, a bank loan, or partners, but on a very small scale. Scalable startup entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship that is usually where the founder is someone who is passionate about driving change and making an impact and making a difference with a passion to make a difference in the world and make a change. And these types of startups usually are open. They're actually prone to being scalable. They can be replicated. And a lot of the times the funding comes through pitch presentations to investors. And in some cases, they get acquired by bigger organizations in the same sector to expand their customer segment. And the third type here is the large company entrepreneurship. And that's probably a company or an organization that you already work for, that from time to time, given the changes that are taking place, technological advancement, customer needs, they may need to diversify their products or their services, and hence they start a new line within the same organization. And the last type of entrepreneurship here is the social entrepreneurship. And as I said, economic development is nowadays in dire need of a balance with social and environmental sustainability and development. And so social entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurship tries to solve problems within the community by coming up with business ideas that are primarily aimed to improve and to solve a social problem, but at the same time tries to make some form of profit that can keep it going and sustain it. Recently, there's been a rise in different types of entrepreneurs in specific industries. We all know of the tech entrepreneurs, and I think that's where the entrepreneurship kind of started with tech entrepreneurs. And then it evolved over time with the need for sustainability to the rise of ecopreneurs. And the most recent trends are those of edupreneurs, and these are educators who are actually diversifying the offerings of education. Just like the nation tries to diversify, so do schools and individuals, and parents also seek diversification of how their children learn. And one more and a very, very recent type of entrepreneurs, and that is the agripreneurs. And this has come to exist with the Sustainable Development Goals and the need for food security. So let's focus on edupreneurs, which is the focus of our session. Who are edupreneurs? Anyone in education who is motivated, driven by a mission, passionate, smart, and can come up with a new idea is considered an edupreneur. Edupreneurs are actually game changers. They are innovators who have edtech ideas, and they've got the creativity, and they are usually advocates and supporters of 21st century learning. With the global education system becoming prominent, startups and tech startups in particular are constantly seeking to collaborate with teachers and educators in order to grow their businesses. So if we look at the qualities and the traits of teachers versus those of successful entrepreneurs, here's a list of descriptions that I would like you to reflect on whether they actually describe an entrepreneur or do they describe a teacher. They do not go into their field for money. They choose their career to make a difference. Their career is their lifestyle, requiring flexibility and dedication. They are driven by a deep-seated urge to help others. They strive to bring about positive change. They choose to engage in an endeavor for the greater good, even if at times the profitability is questionable. They are multitaskers. They're very good at multitasking. It's almost their second nature, and they are good communicators. Now, as a teacher, you might want to take some time here to reflect on whether any of these descriptions, if not all, actually do fit your profile. So these are qualities that teachers and entrepreneurs share naturally. So this is the foundation of why we believe, and many researchers believe, that teachers make successful entrepreneurs. Research by San Martin, Perez, and Fernandez Lavida in 2022 looked at the characteristics that learners and students consider when identifying a teacher as a role model. And the three categories of the traits and characteristics of teachers go as such. We've got human qualities, technical qualities, and teaching qualities. So whether they are good teachers and the way the teacher teaches, plus their own personality, play a key role. And the most prominent one from the findings show was if the teachers had entrepreneurial skills and were entrepreneurs themselves, they were more attractive and acted as role models for learners and inspired their learners to have the intentions to become entrepreneurs themselves. So let's look at some entrepreneurial success stories, and we'll start with a list of examples from entrepreneurs who have become so and edupreneurs upon retirement or slightly prior to retirement. In all three cases, these initiatives were led by pain points, frustrations, and observed needs from these people's personal or teachers' personal and professional experiences. We'll look at the first example of a camping ground, the camping ground owners. These are two teachers who had planned to retire and build a home on a piece of land. And eventually, with things going wrong, they turned it into a camping ground. It's a business that they run together. The second one here on the elder care consultant, a year prior to retirement, this elder care consultant realized that she was approaching retirement and yet was still having to take care of her own parents, and realized that there is a need for the elderly to be cared for, and started her own business in that area. A science teacher turned into an entrepreneur after retirement, started creating toys for clients that are both young and older. No age limit to the toys. Obviously, educational toys too, and the business is thriving. So, how about early career entrepreneurial and edupreneurial stories, which is a more common trend today? Why wait for retirement to start your business? But rather beat burnout and start the process early on. My first example here is of a daycare owner who realized that students were coming into schools, or young kids were coming into schools totally unprepared, and realized that there was a gap in that area, and decided that she was going to start a daycare that would meet the needs of these children and do the job that has not been done so far. And the business started prior to retirement, and upon retirement, it was scaled up, i.e. replicated to a second and third daycare center. The second one in the middle of the Ustaz tutoring platform is actually someone I know on a personal level, and I've observed and witnessed the journey that she has gone through as a young entrepreneur. She was a teacher herself and identified a need for learners, for the learning process to be catered for their own specific need. And she started a tutoring platform that brings together learners and teachers. And this was started and based in Lebanon and has gone global at the moment, covers a very large portion of the MENA region, and reaches the most remote areas where education is not accessible. And of course, Audrey has also been listed as the 30 Forbes under 30 entrepreneurs. And the last example is that of my own PhD supervisor, who is a university lecturer who has a passion for beverages and drinks, and at the same time came across a piece of research on the connection between personality and the types of beverages that people prefer, and used the research along with his own passion for setting up the business, and created a startup. In the process, it's about 8 months old, commercializing research and turning it into an actual business using AI. So making the shopping experience for the purchaser and for the person buying the drinks, the AI is being fed with all the research data and the findings of how personalities and drinks match. And this helps the shopper kind of choose the right beverage for themselves. So we've looked at different experiences of early career entrepreneurial stories, and they are all educators. So what would a proposed training program look like for teachers? Of course, your feedback and your insights would be helpful on the platform, but in general, it could look something like this, and it could go across 2 weeks to allow for reflection and time to build ideas. We would start the first week with a design thinking 5-step process, and we will split them into 2 parts where defining the problem will be the first session, aligning it with your own values, and then the second day for 3-hour sessions daily, no longer. And the design thinking will continue into ideating, coming up with different solutions and prototyping And the following week, the prototypes will be tested. And here we are looking at testing it with the idea of finding a minimum product viability, i.e., is there a market for your product? Is there a product market fit? Is there a need for your product, or is it just something you want to do? So again, these are the early steps for ensuring that your idea will not be costly and then fail after you have invested in it. And we will also look at what we call a business model canvas with several elements involved. And we will start the process by looking at value proposition, target market segment, who is your market audience, who are your clients, resources, marketing strategy, payment methods. And on the last day, we will complete the canvas by looking at pricing, fixed cost, variable costs, and how to calculate your profit and revenue score sheet, and hopefully be able to present your information in a poster presentation to seek feedback. And this can also be helpful when seeking investor contributions. So to wrap up this session, on where educators are at the intersection of project management and entrepreneurship, we have seen that project management involves efficient delivery and aligning all the aspects of project management with the organizational goals, while entrepreneurship is about thinking creatively, recognizing opportunities, and driving innovation. These two areas combined should be able to provide us with or promote resilience, adaptability, and a proactive approach, which is essential for professionals to thrive in different roles, diverse roles, whether it's leadership responsibilities, and to also to contribute meaningfully to an organization's growth and success. If anyone needs to take a quick look at the components of a business model, we look at key partners, key activities, value proposition, customer relationships, customer segments, the key resources, distribution channels, and cost structure and revenue streams. So these are what we could put together in a program, in a training, in an initial training program to help you start the process of implementing your ideas. So that's it for this presentation. And any questions that you may have, please try to engage on the platform and we will try to respond to them. Any ideas that you may want to suggest that teachers in particular would need in terms of this kind of training, please do not hesitate to share it. And thank you very much. That is the end of our session on project management and entrepreneurship.